They've lost 13 in a row. 13 in a row. They can't hit to save their lives. They're wasting a ton of good starting pitching, and believe it or not, I'm not talking about the Pittsburgh Pirates. Good morning to you. Good Friday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or hockey. I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. I've mentioned on many an occasion that the hitting instruction and the pitching instruction and the organization begin with the Major League hitting coach and the Major League pitching coach, respectively. They set the philosophy, they set the approach, and from there, it's incumbent on the people all through minor league development, and even the scouts to an extent when drafting people, to follow suit, to get those types of players, to teach those players those types of practices. Well, man, have they got the Pittsburgh thing down in Altoona. I'm going to withhold the individual names here to protect the innocent, and for all we know, they might actually be innocent in that they're just being taught all the wrong stuff as applied to hitting. But these are the batting averages. I don't even need to dig into this a lot deeper. These are the batting averages of the players with the most at-bats so far through Altoona's 23 games. You ready for this? 183, 216, 186, 243. I'm not making this up. 191, 179, 188. I could just end the show here. What are we talking about? What is happening? There was a scout just a couple of weeks ago who asked me, and I swear to you, I didn't know what he was referring to then. I don't know what he was referring to even now. But he asked me, how long can they keep up this charade? And I, again, don't know what I'd like to think it's something like this, where the bottom is just falling out offensively throughout the organization. This is not a non-thing. Double A is supposed to be the place where you're not using, professional or journeyman minor leaguers. This is supposed to be one of your highest levels that's just all prospect. In fact, it's supposed to be your highest level that's all prospect, because very few teams can pull that off at the AAA level. You need X amount of veterans to compete there. But this is a joke. This is a joke. And this is what you get. They have nice little walk totals, too. Did I mention that yet? They have walk totals. They get on base through walking. Yay. They can't hit. See, I was taught forever ago to never take minor league wins and losses and equate those, certainly not directly, into the caliber of talent or the caliber of development. But when it's this specific and it's the exact same trait happening on the eastern edge of Route 22 as what's happening here in Pittsburgh, it's a joke. It's a joke. The whole thing is a joke. And even if this isn't what the scout was referring to, it's worth calling out. It's embarrassing. The whole thing is embarrassing. To have this happen in Altoona, an hour away, where a lot of those fans also happen to be, you might be surprised by this, Pirates fans, and for them to see the organization in such a state that this important affiliate is just being flushed down the commode because they either can't or don't want to, in this case, hit. And actually, if I sound irritated, it's partly because I know some of the people in Altoona. I know what it took to build up the Curve franchise. It's a very, very small market, Altoona is, for a AA affiliate. They had to work their rear ends off to make that happen. A lot of good people did. But here's how this is going to play out, okay? Tonight at PNC Park, and I'm going to cover this game, the Pirates are playing the Rockies. The Rockies stink to high heaven, especially their pitching. 5.79 collective ERA, a half run higher than anybody else, and this isn't one of those years you can blame it on Coors Field. They're just terrible. And the Pirates are going to bust out. They're going to hit this minor league pitching. And by the time Sunday comes along, Ben Cherington has his weekly radio show, and he gets asked by someone who's paid by the team to ask how awesome everything is. And all of this gets swept under the rug again, as if it never happened, as if it, as opposed to the down periods, is the default mode. And everyone's going to forget about it until the next competent opponent comes along with the next set of competent pitchers. And they realize, wow, this team really doesn't swing. I get 2 strikes for free. This is awesome. And the cycle goes on, and the radio people who don't even cover the team will just blab on and on about Bob Nutting, as if he's got something to do with the hitting coach or the hitting philosophy. He could get rid of everybody. He did that in late 2019. But how often are you going about doing that? And no one's answerable, no one's accountable, and this is just going to go on, and it's going to work its way through the entire organization, where there'll be some dynamic arms, there'll be some high pedigree hitting talent brought in, meaning based on where they're drafted or how they're acquired, and they'll be told to do this, and they'll all be terrible. This is not good. This is not good, and it's not going to be good if they put forth 12 runs tonight against the Rockies. Nothing's going to change if that occurs. When we come back, J1Q. This portion of Daily Shot of Pirates is brought to you by our friends at North Shore Tavern. That's directly across Federal Street from PNC Park. It's home of Steak on a Stone, an eating experience, underscoring the word experience. The steak is brought to you partially cooked on an 800-degree stone, and you do the rest. It's a ton of fun, it's a great meal, and it's a baseball atmosphere like no other in Pittsburgh. North Shore Tavern, right across Federal Street from PNC Park. Today's J1Q comes from Chris, who asks, DK, isn't Ben Cherington in a box with this offense? I don't understand how he can continue to defend the instruction and the approach to hitting if management truly believes there's nothing wrong with the instruction. Then it has to be a talent issue, right? And that falls at Cherington's feet. Is Cherington really willing to fall on the sword and accept the blame for this product just to defend Andy Haynes? Yeah, you bring up a lot of points that are actually not as related as you might think they are, Chris, and let me explain what I mean by that. Cherington isn't defending Haynes. He isn't defending the instruction. He is defending the other thing you mentioned, which is the approach. The belief in this passive philosophy belongs to the GM, first and foremost. Remember that he fired Rick Eckstein in the middle of Eckstein's first full season under Cherington, and remember that Cherington kept Eckstein on from the previous coaching staff only because players like Josh Bell, Adam Frazier, Kevin Newman, and they told me about this themselves, really pushed him to do so. They believed in the guy. Cherington didn't because they didn't have the same philosophy. First opportunity he had, first slump, boom, Eckstein gone. Middle of the season. The Brewers fire Andy Haynes at the end of that season. For a cause, I might add. Cherington swoops in to pick him up, and we're now in our 3rd year of this crap, of this same crap. So when you say, Chris, that the talent, and this is what you implied with part of your question, the talent is what falls at Cherington's feet. No, the whole thing does. The whole thing does. The talent or lack thereof, the approach, and the approach to instruction, all of those fall at the feet of the GM. All of it. So how can he get out of it? Well, he could fire the hitting coach. But what's going to happen if he fires Haynes is he's going to replace him with someone who has this exact same philosophy. Why? Out of stubbornness, partly, but also you have to understand that when you put in an entire program for the entire organization, including the Altoona curve, that's something that digs really, really, really deep foundationally into who you are, meaning their acquisition model, their evaluation model, the things that they use for scouting, never mind the things that they use for instruction, are all tied to this. He has a 0.000% chance of altering or even modifying his belief in what constitutes a smart hitting approach, because he would have to restructure everything for that to happen. If he fires Haynes, he's going to promote from within, or he's going to get somebody from the outside that he knows from elsewhere will do exactly what he wants in this regard. This is why I keep pointing to Travis Williams. It's not to be weird. It's not to be obsessive. Travis is the one who can make this happen. His GM is out of control on this specific subject. This is why you have somebody over somebody else's head for situations exactly like this. I'm going to go cover baseball tonight, and we will get together again next Monday for more of this fun. And of course, we're going to talk about all 35 of the runs that the Pirates are going to pile up against the Rockies and how that just makes everything okay.